Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive.
Absolutely, always ready to explore.
Today we're heading into the world of Norse mythology.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and we're going to be focusing on a particular character, Siegfried,
A legendary
a
hero.
legendary hero. We'll be looking at his story, kind of where he came from, and also how he's been portrayed, like in different works of literature and art and stuff like
Well,
that.
yeah, he's quite a popular guy, Siegfried.
He is. So just to give a little bit of background, Norse mythology, for anyone who needs a little refresher, it's this incredible collection of stories about gods and giants and heroes and all sorts of magical creatures.
It's a really rich tapestry of yeah, myths and legends.
Right. And these stories, they were told by, the people in Scandinavia, like way back in the day, like long before they even started writing stuff down.
Passed down through generations. Really powerful storytelling tradition.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
these stories, they talk about like the creation of the world. They talk about, the struggles between good and evil.
And of course, the adventures of these larger-than-life heroes.
Exactly. And Siegfried, he's like one of the most famous of these heroes.
For sure.
So can you tell us a little bit about like who Siegfried is and what makes him so special?
Well, he's often portrayed as this incredibly strong and brave warrior. He's known for, like, slaying dragons and performing these amazing
Okay,
feats.
yeah, that sounds pretty heroic.
But there's also this kind of tragic element to his story, which is, I think, part of what makes him so compelling.
Okay, yeah, I'm intrigued.
He's kind of driven by this, like, intense passion, and ultimately he's undone by betrayal.
Oh, wow. Okay, so there's a lot more to him than just like the muscles and the dragon slaying.
Oh, yeah, much more, much more.
Okay, cool. So we know that Siegfried is a big deal in Norse mythology, but he's also like a central figure in this epic poem from Germany called the Nibelungenlied. Have you heard of that?
Oh, absolutely, it's a classic.
Yeah, and it's from like way back in the Middle Ages.
Medieval epic poem, yeah.
Yeah, so like for our listeners who maybe haven't read it, can you give us like a quick rundown of what this poem's all about?
Sure. So the Nibelungenlied, it's basically this sprawling tale of adventure, and it's got everything, love, betrayal, revenge. There's treasure, there's dragons.
Okay, so kind of like a medieval soap opera with dragons thrown in for good measure.
Exactly. And of course, Siegfried, he's right at the heart of all the action.
So he's not just a mythical figure then, he's actually like a literary figure as well.
Precisely. His story crosses over from myth into literature.
Okay, that's really cool. So this Nibelungenlied, it's obviously a pretty big deal, right? Like it's inspired a lot of other works.
Oh, absolutely. One of the most famous examples is Richard Wagner.
The composer?
The composer, yeah. He was completely obsessed with the Nibelungenlied, and he turned it into this, like, epic cycle of operas.
Really?
Yeah. And of course, Siegfried is one of the main characters.
And that's the Ring of the Nibelung, right?
Exactly. It's a masterpiece.
Wow, okay. So from like ancient myths to epic poems to operas, that's quite a legacy. But it doesn't stop there, right? Like I remember even watching like the Knights of the Zodiac, and they had a whole arc, like a whole saga based on the Nibelungenlied.
That's right, the Asgard saga. Yeah, one of the main characters in that saga is basically based on Siegfried.
That's so cool. And it really shows you how these stories, they can just kind of like transcend time and culture, you know?
Totally. They tap into these universal themes that resonate with people no matter where they come from.
So I'm curious, you mentioned like dragons and treasure.
Yeah.
Is there like a specific treasure that's associated with Siegfried?
Oh, yeah. It's called the Rhinegold.
The Rhinegold.
Mhm.
Okay, and is that like actual gold or is it something else?
Well, in the stories, it's described as this like magical gold. It's said to have been stolen from the Rhine River.
Okay, so it has this connection to nature almost.
Yeah, it's got this like primal energy to it.
Okay, so why is the Rhinegold so important to Siegfried's story?
Well, it's not so much that the Rhinegold itself is important to Siegfried. It's more about what it represents.
Okay.
The Rhinegold is this symbol of power, It's this incredibly powerful artifact, and whoever possesses it is said to gain immense power, but it also comes with a curse.
Oh, a curse. Okay, so like power corrupts kind of thing?
Exactly, and that's a major theme that runs through Siegfried's story. He's this incredibly powerful hero, but he's also susceptible to the corrupting influence of power.
Wow, that's deep. So imagine like you're on a boat, you're cruising down the Rhine River in Germany, you look down and you see this like Glimmer, this golden glimmer.
Oh, yeah.
Could that be the legendary Rheingold just sitting there at the bottom of the river with all its promises and all its curses?
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah, so it seems like Siegfried's story, it's more than just a hero's journey. It's like a cautionary tale about the dangers of power, right?
That's one way to look at it, yeah.
It's pretty amazing how this one character from Norse mythology has inspired so many different works, like poems, operas, even anime.
It's a testament to the power of myth, really. These stories, they endure because they speak to something deep within us. They make us think about the big questions, about life and death, good and evil, power and corruption.
So we've only really scratched the surface here, right?
Oh, yeah, just a taste. There's so much more to explore in the world of Norse mythology.
So for our listeners who are now totally hooked on Siegfried, where would you recommend they go to learn more?
Well, there are some fantastic translations of the Nibelungenlied out there. And if you're feeling really ambitious, you could check out Wagner's Ring Cycle.
That's a big one.
It is, but it's amazing. And of course, there are tons of books and websites about Norse mythology in general.
Great. Well, thank you so much for taking us on this deep dive.
My pleasure. Always happy to talk about myths and heroes.
And to our listeners, we'll see you on our next deep dive. Keep exploring.
Keep exploring.